Nearly 20 years ago, my family lived in a 100-year-old house in Idaho Falls, across from a church. It was haunted by a demon I called the Smiling Man. He had a gaunt body like a corpse with long limbs, a mouth full of rotting teeth, and the eyes of a dead man. He would walk up and down the hallways at night, scratching the walls and wooden floors with his fingernails, sometimes crawling on all fours. I slept in a room 3 stories up in the attic and suffered from horrible nightmares due to the Smiling Man standing in my doorway and hearing him walking in the middle of the night. My parents told me years after we moved out about how I would stand outside their bedroom door and scream and cry and beg them to let me in. My mother said that at first she thought I was making things up, but then realized something was wrong and let me in the room until we moved out. The house was built in 1907 and was previously owned by a man who kept tattooing body parts in pickle jars, and it had a dark basement full of spiders. Although my parents put my playhouse and other toys there, I refused to go down the basement steps and was terrified of even walking by the door. This is not a made-up story, this is 100% true. At the time that we lived in the house, I was 3 years old, but the effects of the Smiling Man would last a lifetime. For the last 2 decades, I have experienced and seen things that should not exist. If it was only me that has physically encountered these ghosts, I would write it off as my own imagination. But my family and friends, all very rational Christian people, are also affected. I suffered from nightmares and night terrors for 10 years after we left the Idaho Falls house, only managing to get them under control when I was 12. When I was 10, my brother and our 2 childhood friends saw what appeared to be the Grim Reaper in our neighborhood. After approaching the figure, we realized that it was clearly a spirit, and that it was indeed real. This ghost we named Danny, and still haunts my old neighborhood to this day. As a teenager, both apartments were haunted by a ghost named Steve. I would wake in the middle of the night to the sound of feet shuffling around the living room. I thought I was dreaming until my mother asked me one day what I have been doing walking around the house in the middle of the night. Second, the ghost knocked ornaments off our Christmas tree, toppled presents, and locked me out of the house when I had a friend over. There was no one inside, and I had not locked the door. At my Starbucks, which was inside a Target, I began seeing a black figure running around out of the corner of my eye. I nicknamed this character Wilson. Wilson tortured me for months, pulling my apron, throwing bottles from the shelves, and once even tossed milk cartons out of the garbage and spilled the remaining milk all over the floor. I was blamed for this and tried to explain to my manager that it wasn't me. I thought that I was imagining things at first, until a new girl began talking about Wilson and described him to me. After that, everyone began to see him. He threw the ice bucket at my friend from a distance of 6 feet, opened and closed the heavy doors, appeared as a shadow on the wall, called my coworkers names, walked in and out of the back door in front of guests, and even whistled a tune. My coworkers reported that it sounded like a miner's tune, and that they saw boots on his feet when he ran. I was curious, so I researched mining accidents in towns nearby, and one name stood out to me. William Wilson died 1905. The last ghost is the most recent. I moved to Utah 6 months ago and thought that for once I had moved far enough that the ghosts would not follow me. Lately, I have woken up to a strange smell, like chili or rotten meat. I have also noticed sinks turning on by themselves and things moving around the house, but brushed it off as my imagination. A few days ago, I dreamt that there was a ghost in my bathroom. Today, I was watching Sleepy Hollow, which is rather ironic because my hamster ball rolled out of the closet and across the floor. I thought my hamster was in it, but realized it was empty and fled the house. I called my mom, who suggested that I pray and ask that it leave. She admitted that she had done it before, and it worked. "What do you mean you've done it before?" I asked. But I already knew the answer.
"I did it before, a few times, in the Idaho house,"
she told me. For 20 years, my Christian mother has forbidden me to watch any scary movies in the house or talk about ghosts. I love ghost stories and horror films, and she wouldn't even let me watch BuzzFeed Unsolved without telling me off for inviting spirits into the house. Now she has finally admitted that they exist and that the smiling man was not just my imagination. I can't decide if I'm happy that she finally told me the truth. Ghosts and demons are real, and everyone around me is affected by this. I told the ghost today to go away, but right now, as I write this, there are scuffling noises coming from the living room. I have all the lights on and have been telling it to leave my house and leave me in peace. If anyone has had this problem, or have any advice or idea on why spirits like me, please let me know. I don't think any amount of exorcism will remove their attachment to me. But it would be nice to not have to run out of the house every time something moves. Thanks for watching, and if you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like. On screen now are videos that you may also enjoy. Check them out, and I'll see you next time.